8 hours.
Oh, no, that's quite okay.
So
Maybe
we're not
another.
going to go 8 hours. Okay. Hi, everybody. If you're watching, Sandra D. Robinson, I'm here with James Malinchak. We're going to have a really fast and furious and content-filled about 30 minutes with you guys. So really glad that you're here. And James, as I said, so glad to see you because we were
Nice to see
scrambling to
you.
get on Google Plus. So I'm really happy. So for any of you that do not know, how could you not know who James Malinchak is? He is, I mean, I'll read part of the official bio, but the reality is he really is a self-made millionaire who comes from my hometown. Our football
Woo-woo!
team, our high school football teams played each other. We usually won.
We won. Mine won all the
No,
time,
no,
though.
no, mine won. But we're both from Pittsburgh, so we have that little bond going. But if you know him from the speaker world, you know that he does amazing live events, and he is considered one of the top speaker trainers in the world. He himself, before he even started training, was extremely successful in a business that is very competitive and constantly changing, and that's the world of speaking. You may also know him from the hit show Secret Millionaire, and I'll be sure to ask him a little bit about that because the concept of it was amazing, where he went sort of undercover and found people that he really thought deserved giving money to, and that was what the concept of the show was all about, and I think that was just fantastic. So I want to make sure to ask you a little bit about that, James. So you have just the most incredible, I have to tell you, just starting off, flipping through some stuff, doing some background stuff on you, because I feel like I know you, but I need to, see what all you got out there. You have the best testimonials of anybody I've ever seen. You've got Jack Canfield. You've like, honestly, like remarkable testimonials, dude.
Oh, well, thanks, Dudette. I appreciate it. I'm very blessed.
That's got to just feed your ego, to see that kind of stuff, and
Oh,
we're
that's
gonna
very,
find out.
very
We're gonna find
grateful.
out what we know what feeds your body because you just got back from our hometown where you had pierogies and Kamani Brothers sandwiches
Yeah, and Halishki and cabbage rolls.
and cabbage rolls. How much weight did you gain?
Oh my God, I don't even want to go there. Why do you? I thought you were nice. Why would you go there?
I say that with love. I ask with love. All right.
Uh-huh.
Actually, I'm a little jealous that you went back. It's a beautiful time of year back there in Western Pennsylvania.
It is very
Yeah,
nice.
I got to get back myself. So I know that you grew up the same as me, and a lot of times people are very surprised. I know I was surprised. People that knew me were surprised when I launched into show business and was working as a teenager in television, and that was what kind of changed my life. It's not always common for people from a small town outside of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, to kind of launch into something that is, for you, it's international. What was your first step to getting out of a small town? What possessed you to think bigger?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. I appreciate everybody being on, and I'm glad we're on because we couldn't get on.
My
But hopefully
heart was
everybody's
pumping a
on.
little bit.
I'm not real tech savvy, so. But my first big dream was to play college basketball, and I really thought that was my way out of the steel mill town. And I wanted to do big things with my life, big goals, and I just wasn't content on kind of, I mean, you will know this, but hanging out drinking at the local bar, kind of
Oh,
thing.
you guys actually went to the bar. We were back in the coal flats in the woods.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Remember,
Yeah.
when I was a teenager, I didn't have the bars. I only had the woods, and you sat there and you waited for the flashing lights of the police, and everybody would yell, and you'd scatter like deer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a lot of people listening won't know. We're the only two that have that in common.
Oh, I don't know. I
But
mean, if you listen to country music, you kind of think there's more people out there that get that.
that's right. No, I
So what
just,
happened with the basketball dream?
sports, yeah, basketball and sports were my way out. I mean, we were pretty good. My senior year, we won the state championship. I was all state and, got a bunch of awards and things like that and got recruited. And so that was my way sort of out and into the bigger world, if you will. So that's what really got me started, Sandra, is I wanted to play big-time Division I college basketball. Thank God for being able to play basketball pretty decent, or I may not have gotten out and pursued some of the things that I wanted to do. Nothing against staying there. It just wasn't for me, So that's how I really started to to look at my life in a larger and a bigger way, and see what was possible. And it didn't matter where I started; it mattered where I was going.
So when you made that, it's funny because when you do some small things, people go, "Wow, that's really interesting. He's a local boy." But when you get really big, sometimes people can, then they start going, "What's the deal with him?" Right? Like sometimes they may even get a little jealous. Like when you show up on Secret Millionaire, they're like, "Who does he think he is?" Right?
Oh, sure.
Did you really enjoy that experience? Because I got to tell you, from a viewer's point of view, and from somebody that loves to give back, which I know you do, that had to be really cool to be able to give back like that, but it also had to be kind of hard. Was it difficult to have to choose who you were going to give the money to?
Oh my gosh. Well, first of all, I did the press tour for ABC, and you being in showbiz, you're pretty familiar with all this stuff. But for anybody who is not, I mean, I did a major press tour for ABC before it came out, and a guy asked me, well, there must have been 3,000 reporters at this one thing for ABC. And a guy asked me, he said, "So what was it like?" And I said, "Well, let me just share." And this was in front of everybody. This was going to be blogged and blasted everywhere. And I said, I just spoke from my heart. I said, "Look, the greatest gift God ever gave me, the greatest blessing in my life was when my sister Vicky passed away. I was able to be with her before she passed away, and we had sister and brother time. And that was the greatest gift in my young life and probably the rest of my life that I will ever have. Being on Secret Millionaire and meeting these amazing, beautiful people, and just see what true servers and givers of life and others that they are. It's not as high of a ranking because the thing with Vicky was all at the time is always my most special, but that's the second greatest blessing I'd ever received from God. I saw what true givers and servers were for no other reason than to help people. They didn't know we were ABC. They didn't know this was going to be on worldwide television. And they just went out and helped people every day. And some of these folks made literally no money doing this, but they just woke up and did it so that a couple could have a clean yard when they sat on their swing. I mean, for no other reason. So I learned what true sacrifice and true giving really is when I went on that show.
And that's part of actually how I said that you are going to be coming on tonight is, it's the season of giving. I know it's just Thanksgiving now, so we're kind of in the season of thanks, but we're headed into the biggest, what people consider the biggest season of giving. But it's great to be able to share experiences like that. And with the Secret Millionaire being as popular as it was, how did you feel when it was over?
So it kind of answers your second part of the last question. It was the craziest thing. Okay, so I'm like you. I'm just a small town guy who happened to do some things right, and so the show aired Sunday night. Monday, the next day, I got on a plane and flew to Phoenix because I was keynoting the Infusionsoft conference. If anybody uses Infusionsoft, there were several thousand people there. Now, here's the funny thing. I could not walk through the airport. Like, the TSA guys were taking pictures with me.
No!
Oh, yeah. People were like, you're walking and people are like pointing at you like all over the place. And I'm like, what are they doing?
Did you have security with you? Were you thinking you should have had an entourage at that point?
Well, I felt like, first of all, I didn't know what was going on as people were just turning and staring and looking. On the jetway on the Southwest flight, people turning around and pointing at me. And I'm thinking, I have no idea. It didn't dawn on me that they probably saw me on TV. It just didn't hit me, right? On the flight, the pilot came out and asked for a photo. The flight attendants are taking pictures. It was crazy, right? Now, here's the funny thing. I figured out how many people, over 10 million people. That's a lot of people watching you. But here's the funny thing. About 3 days before I walked through the same Vegas airport, nobody said a word to me. Nobody asked for a picture, nothing. So this was all strange for me when this happened.
It's the power of the media, I mean, trust me, I know that. When I first had the same experience, it just blew me away. But it's a great position to have, and I know folks here. I mean, that's one of the steps, and I work with people on helping them step out in a bigger way, and so do you. And sometimes that bigger way is getting in front of a camera, getting interviewed, and media. And sometimes it's interesting. Some people need a lot more nerve to step out on a stage than they do to step in front of a camera. It's a different deal, and it's also a very difficult market to establish yourself if you come in blind and you have no idea what's happening. So
Sure.
for some other folks, I want to get some tips in that, because I know you were very successful as a speaker even before you started training people how to break in and how to actually make a living at it. And one of the questions that keeps popping up, because I ask the folks that are on my mailing list, and I'll be doing more of these interviews, by the way, anybody that's listening. So whenever I say, email me questions, I usually just allow that for the folks that are on my email list, that are in my community, and they're allowed to send in some questions for the guests. And I have some for you. One that kept coming in over and over again was, are the days of speaking for a living, is that era gone? Is that even possible? Because we see speakers a lot of times when you're in the field, you see them speaking for free, and you've got some folks that are a little old school, be able to, that want to be able to make a living at it and get paid well for it, and that seems to be the thought. One guy, Corey from Los Angeles, actually said, "Is that era over?"
That's a good question. Well, first of all, I want to say something that I wish we would have been better friends prior to me going on Secret Millionaire, because I would have hired you for on-camera training. I see what you're doing. I did all right. But I could have done super with your training. So I just wanted to throw that out. So anyone listening or watching who follows Sandra, you're very blessed, because you got a great person in your corner who's training you and helping you. So, and I mean that sincerely. I would have definitely hired you had we known each other better. So to answer Corey's question, absolutely not. Speaking is the one thing that always has sustained for decades and will sustain for future decades. As we were talking prior to coming on this, I just got back from speaking in Washington, D.C., in Pittsburgh, by the way, where I was paid to be there, so it wasn't like speak for free, and then before that, St. Louis. So if you realize how big the speaking market is, I want you to just think of something, okay? There are approximately, let me break this down a little bit for like corporate and association and college and university and youth organizations, because that's how I really break up the fee market. So there's basically three ways to do speaking. There's fee, where they pay you a check. There's free, where you don't get paid, but then you can offer your great products and services in the back of the room. And then there's running your own event. Okay, so those are the only three ways you speak. Running your own event could also be like on a Google Hangout or on a webinar or on a live stream, but the three that I just mentioned are the only ways you speak. Those are the three main ones. Okay, so if we look at just the fee-paid one to tackle Corey's question, there are about 24,000 associations in the United States alone. 24,000 different ones. Okay, there's one group, and I'll give it to you. It's ASAE, American Society of Association Executives. That's how you can get to all these 24,000. Yep. Now, I want you to think about something. Let's pretend, because they don't all just book one meeting. There's one guy in there who runs the American Payroll Association. They have 300 conferences and meetings a year where they need speakers. That's one guy. So let me break this down, and let's just pretend for a second. Let's say that each one does 10 meetings a year. If you multiply 10 by 24,000, that's 240,000 potential paid gigs a year just through associations.
I'm excited just hearing these numbers.
Oh, isn't that crazy? Yeah, most people don't see. When we don't know, or when we listen to what we hear on the internet, because Sandra, everything on the internet is true, right?
That's what I thought.
Yes. So you hear people say things like, "Oh, you've got to be doing live streams, or you've got to be doing some sort of Kajabi thing with 8 hours of video training online," and that's true. You could do that. There's nothing wrong with that. But the professional speaking market for getting paid is humongous. I live, as you know, in Las Vegas. And if you walk into one casino here in Las Vegas on one day, just one casino, I'll bet you there are 10, like a large one like Bellagio, Caesar's Palace, there are 10, maybe 15 different events going on in one day
Yeah.
in one casino.
Yeah.
That's just Las Vegas, and that's one casino. If you look at destination places, Orlando, Austin, Dallas, Santa Barbara, Los Angeles, San Francisco, San Diego, and that's 7 right there.
Yeah.
Not counting Orlando. I mean, I could go on and on. I heard this stat by a meetings industry professional one time. He said, on average, every day there are about 7,000 different places in the U.S. alone where there are fee-paid gigs going on. And he said, well, how can that be? 7,000 a day? Well, if you think of colleges, universities, youth organizations, corporations, which aren't even a part of the association market, I mean, it's pretty easy to understand why there's such a big market.
Yeah, and the college thing is interesting because I know you do a whole program on that, and I was fascinated by that because for me, I mean, my first attraction to that was if you have something to give a younger generation, that's a great opportunity. Mm-hmm. But then after listening to you speak, there's actually a lot of money that's out there waiting to pay speakers. So that in itself is what actually initially drew me to you. I didn't know you were from my hometown at the time, but I was like, what is this guy talking about? You can make money speaking to the younger generation. So that's a whole nother thing that you bring that we'll probably have to do another Google Hangout for that. Because that's...
Well, let me touch on that for a second to kind of just pack it on for Corey. There are approximately 4,200 colleges and universities in the United States. This is just the U.S. This doesn't count Canada and other countries. So at each college, there are approximately, you ready for this? 10, depending on the size of the school, 10 to 16 different departments at every college and university that have budgets to book. So think about this for a second. If we just take an average, they have budgets to book you and I, speakers, authors, trainers, coaches, hypnotists, bands, comedians. If there are, let's just pretend there's 10 at every one. If you multiply 4,200 colleges and universities by 10, that's 42,000 opportunities just at colleges and universities to get paid a fee.
Yeah.
Just at colleges and universities. Well, how many you need? 2 or 3 a month?
Yeah, that'd be good. I'll sign up for that. I'll do that.
Yeah, so the market, if you put just the association market and colleges and universities together, I mean, you got like 300,000 roughly a year going right there that you could speak for.
Now I've got that's exciting. So that gets you, hopefully that gets some of you guys thinking about what's really possible. Now the thing that stops folks for getting out there is I'm looking through some of the questions as I'm talking to you, so I don't mean to, I want to make sure that I hit as many as I can with you. I know that some people, much like getting in front of a camera, they get some apprehension about, well, I have something to say but I don't know how to say it. So what is your advice for getting the message together? They may have a market, or like say maybe they want to speak to younger people, they want to do the college circuit because they feel that they have something to share. But what if, I had somebody write in, Patty from New Mexico said, do I need a book? Do I need to have a book before I start speaking? And if so, if you don't have a book, how do you get your message together? What do you suggest as far as that goes? That's kind of a two-part question. Do you need a book before you start speaking? Does it help? And or how do you put your message together in the first place?
That's a great question. Thanks, Patty, for that. First, no, you do not need a book to get started. Will a book help you? Will it help you get higher fees? Will it enhance your credibility? Will it help your credentials, your visibility? Absolutely, without a doubt. But you don't actually need a book to get started. So that's the first answer. However, I will tell you that using a book, I have forever in my career given away 100 free copies for every group that books me. The reason why is because I self-publish it, and if it's a $12 book, I'm giving away $1,200 worth of value. So now watch this. Let's pretend your fee is $5,000. When you're talking to the person booking you, you say, Miss Meeting Planner, Mr. Meeting Planner, if you subtract $1,200 from my fee of $5,000, $1,200 in the book value, from the retail value, from $5,000, you're actually getting me for $3,800. So you're saving money by booking me.
Ooh, now, I'm going to use that. Can I use that?
Yeah, you should. So think about this, Sandra. If you print up books for $1 a piece, a self-published book, you're giving away $100 to get a $5,000 gig back.
Yeah.
So a book definitely helps you in those kind of business maneuvers, if you will. Um,
that makes me feel really good because just today I sent my deposit into my publisher, so I'm
oh,
finally
cool.
getting my book out. So
Cool.
it just made me feel good about sending off a large amount of money today. Thank
Well,
you.
if you want to feel even better, you can send a large amount to me too. I'm happy to take it.
I'm not the millionaire yet. I'm working on it.
Well, but all seriousness, send me a copy of your manuscript if you like. I'm happy to give you an endorsement.
Oh, that'd be fantastic. That'd be
So
fantastic.
let me answer Patty's second part.
Yeah.
So, and I hope everyone watching / listening really gets this. So you don't need a book in order to construct your presentation, but let me tell you something that's one of the most important things that we can all do, and it's the biggest mistake I see everybody make. Here it is. They say, I want to speak on this XYZ topic. But you don't even know if that market that you're going after pays money and books for that topic. So let me give you a big example, and then I'll tell you kind of, and I think if I give you the example, you'll see how to use this for your advantage. I had a guy named Jerry in one of my speaker boot camps, and super nice guy. He was a doctor, and he said, I want to speak to corporations and to college students on creativity. And I said, well, Jerry, that's great, but nobody's ever going to book you. And he said, James, you don't understand. I'm in bookstores. Okay, so everybody catch this. I'm in bookstores, and I see all these books on creativity. I said, Jerry, with all due respect, you don't understand. You're talking about apples. I'm talking about cantaloupes. You're talking about books in bookstores. I'm talking about what the coordinators and meeting planners actually book in the speaking business, in the speaking market. Creativity is not in the top 95 percentile. So you're not going to ever get booked. You're going to swim upstream trying to create a talk based on what you think they need to hear, not what they want to buy.
Right.
So the big mistake everyone makes, Sandra, when starting to put a presentation together is saying, here's what I'm going to talk about, and then try to go find somebody to book it. No. Number one rule in all marketing, find out what your prospect, your buyer wants, and then how do you take what's true to you and what you love to talk about and package it in a way to where they look at it and go, man, we want to book that. So let me tell you what I did with Jerry.
How do you find out what your audience wants?
So that's why they need to come to my boot camp.
Oh, okay.
So let me give you an example.
That's a big question, right? It's like, okay, that makes sense. What you just said makes sense, but that's a big stopping point for a lot of people. It's like, well, how do you even make the first step?
Well, let me run through some. The reason I made that joke is because I spend ample time on it, because there's not like one simple answer. But so, for example, for the college and university market, there are 21 different, I don't call them topics, I call them categories that they book, and you have to make your presentation, your topic, fit in one of those. So let me give a couple for college and universities, and let me give some for non-student groups like adult, like corporations and associations. So first, the college and university market. Well, think about it. If you ever went to college, what are things you were never taught in school that you should have been taught? So drug and alcohol awareness, dating, sexual assault avoidance, sexual education, date rape, how to get off to a fast start in college when you're coming into college, how to deal with anxiety of being on your own and handling your own, you're accountable for yourself and you're responsible for yourself because mom and dad's not there anymore. But what if you're a transfer student? How do you deal with change and a different environment? What if you were downsized from a company and now you're going back to school to get your education? You know, how do you handle that? So that's a topic. Things like diversity. How do you get along with people from different backgrounds, different opinions and beliefs? Doesn't mean you're wrong, they're right, or vice versa. It just means we're different. How do you get along? What if you're rooming with somebody, and let's say you're from a farm in Austin, Texas.
Imagine that.
Yeah, and now all of a sudden your roommate is somebody from the inner city of Chicago. I mean, two different upbringings. How do you get along?
That's funny.
Any kind of those topics are big topics for colleges and university. Goal setting, time management. I have done a talk forever, and actually is what got me 2-time College Speaker of the Year. The talk is how to make the transition from college to the real world. So anything like job search, landing a job, starting your own business, these are all topics that are booked for colleges and universities. Now, let me give an example. Okay? Let's say you wanted to talk on the law of attraction. I did not mention the law of attraction in there. So let's say, and it's a great topic, so nothing against the topic, but for that market, they don't book, quote, law of attraction. So you must take your law of attraction message, and fit it under one of those that I just mentioned. So, for example, Jerry, he wanted to talk on creativity. I said, Jerry, nobody books creativity. And he got all down in the dumps. But I said, watch this, buddy. If I just take creativity, what you're passionate about, and I repackage you as how to be a creative leader, leadership is a big one for colleges, universities, youth groups, and corporations. I said, Jerry, if you're packaged how to be a creative leader, now you're in the top 95 percentile because they all book leadership. You still talk about creativity. It's just packaged as a leadership talk.
Right. I love that. I love that. Yay! My new venture is starting to. I'm incorporating equines, horses, into the training that I do, and based on actually, empowering leaders, because that's who I attract most of the time, are people that are leaders that are pushing to get to the next level, and that's one of the cool things that I'm starting to initiate. So I'm very familiar with the language and the lingo and the desire for leadership. So there's so many ways, there's so many aspects to leadership that can be really juicy topics for a lot of people that are out there. But nobody can do the horses because that's mine.
No, it's a great. You remind me of Wyatt Webb. Do you know Wyatt Webb?
No, sounds like a cowboy.
Yeah, Wyatt Webb out of Miraval Resort in Arizona. Years ago,
I've stayed there. It's awesome.
Oh, and Wyatt Webb's been around forever. He's a psychotherapist who really wanted to help people break through challenges, right? So he wrote a great book. I read it, man, must be 15 years ago. The book is called It's Not About the Horse.
Oh, yeah.
And he does a very similar thing that you're talking about. You come in and you work with horses when you're with Wyatt, and he tells you what's wrong with you based on how the horse interacts or doesn't interact with you.
Yeah, that's it. It's amazing. We're gonna get you out, James. I'm gonna get you in the pen with the horse.
I'll do it. But so here's the cool thing, and this is why I love your horse piece to what you're doing, Sandra. And anyone listening, please catch this. There are tons of psychotherapists out there who teach people to have breakthroughs.
Yeah. But
the one you remember that's unique and different is Wyatt Webb doing it with horses.
Yes. Yeah, you remembered his name, the name of his book. I mean, wouldn't that be awesome for those folks that are watching to actually have somebody for the first time walk up and know your name and know the name of your book? Yeah. I mean, that's celebrity right there. And when people say to me, "Do you miss acting?" And I still do acting, but obviously I'm not on a soap anymore. I'm not showing up every day on somebody's television set. And I said, that was really awesome, but I prefer what I'm doing now, because just to endorse, the idea of speaking for folks that are watching and maybe on the fence. When I started speaking in front of people is when my business really picked up, when I sensed a sort of, and I'm going to use the word power, but in a good way. Mm-hmm. It was the ability, as we talked about leadership, it was the ability to lead people to a better way, to an opening, to a way to really expand, and as I said for the promos for our interview tonight, to step out in a bigger way. Sure. And just to see people face to face and see the transformation happen while you're up there, and spark people to get up and take action, I think to me was so much more fulfilling than working in a soap. I loved, and I'm very grateful for the time that I did that, but it wasn't the kind of thing that really gave me that sort of spiritual fulfillment. And I think that no matter what you do, there has to be that kind of fulfillment that goes along with it. As I feel that you definitely have tapped into that, James.
Absolutely, and you put that so eloquently. It's awesome. The other thing too, I was thinking about this as you were saying that. Think about the people you come in contact with because of speaking that you normally would never ever have a blessing to meet. Think about this as you're talking about how you feel about transforming people and leading them. I was thinking about this. You and I actually would have never met had it not been through speaking.
That's true.
Think about that. We met through events. We heard of each other. You were at my event. I just saw you at an event, Craig Duswalt's event. You know,
Yeah.
these are all speaking events. And if you think about the whole speaking world, you and I would have never met. We never would have been able to impact your folks who are listening and watching now. You know, so I always say speaking is the world's greatest and highest paid profession. And then I joke and say it's not the oldest. That's a different profession.
We're not talking about that one. Even though he's in Vegas, that's not part of the conversation.
It works better live with an audience. They all laugh. Nobody laughed here.
I wonder why.
But it really is, if you think about it, because you know there will never be a lack of need for in-person meetings and trainings, whether it's kids, youth groups, whether it's all women's organizations. I know you're real big in eWomen Network. I mean, look at that amazing gathering and how many chapters they have across the country, right? If you look at just another women's group, NABO, National Association of Women Business Owners, and you look at colleges, universities, and there are niches within the college market like fraternities and sororities. They have their own conferences where they all come together for best practices. Corporations, associates, it will never go away. It was funny, Sandra, years ago, people said, oh, once the internet really now is taken off, you're not going to see meetings and conventions and gatherings anymore. And I said, that's just not going to happen. Speaking is the one thing that is always sustained and always will be there, because there will always be people gathering to be better.
As much as people make jokes about us being a virtual society, there is that need to have that human to human touch. Now I laugh because I don't know if it's like this in Vegas. It probably is, but I know when I was in LA, they don't have it so much here where I live in Texas. But when I was in LA, they had the automatic checkouts at the grocery store, right? They tried that. So there's no human being. You just go up and you talk to them, you know, you deal with the machine, it talks to you, and you do that whole thing. There could be 20 people standing in line for 3 checkers, and those would be empty. And somebody would be going, you know, you can come over here, and everybody's standing in line going, no. No, like, I gotta ask him about the cream cheese, you know, if it's good. I don't know, but like people just would not go there because there was a human being that was the option, and that's what they really wanted. So, you know, it's funny. It's a funny anecdote, but it's true, and I think that's one of the reasons that, like you said, there will always be gatherings. There has to be that human-to-human contact, and you know, video comes pretty close. And that's what I tell people. It's this very intimate conversation when you do video, but to be able to get up and actually sense and, you know, feel the room and see things shift and change, it's really magical. So speaking of feeling a room, I don't want to keep people too late. I know I appreciate you being here. It's late on the East Coast, so I do want to let them know that I have been to, you know, I've been to your training, your speaker training, and you've got one coming up. It just so happens. So, guys, if you're watching and listening, I actually brought James on to give, and then I asked him, can I share this because it's timely. So it's in December. You have something coming up in LA. Is this your big money speaker?
Yeah, I do it every 6 months in December and May.
Now, what I love is that you have had some amazing people up on the stage, and I'm just flipping through this, and you actually had, wait, where'd it go? I saw this here in one of these pages. You had Sir Anthony Hopkins, a legendary Academy Award-winning actor, on your stage?
I did. You know, it's crazy. I got to tell you, can I share this? Because this is...
I think I would be really intimidated.
Well, I've been blessed, like you, being in sort of around the industry. You know, it's crazy. The way I got into the Hollywood industry is through speaking. People just could. I remember Joan Rivers and I. She's a wonderful sweetheart. Everybody thought she was rough around the edges. She was the most sweetest, nicest, kindest person when you talked with her. And I remember talking to her for an hour, just sitting down. She could not get it through her head how big the speaking industry was and that they actually paid people. I mean, this is Joan Rivers, right? But so speaking is what got me on Secret Millionaire. Speaking is what got me to meet and know Anthony Hopkins and all these folks. So I had Anthony Hopkins on my stage. Sandra, you'll love this. Ready? And I don't get real wild by celebrities. I've been kind of around enough, to know enough of them and see them. And they're just people. When we die, we don't take any of it with us. We all leave the earth the same way. So I've always remembered that. But I'm sitting on stage with Mr. Hopkins, and he said something, and everybody laughed. And he leaned over at me, and he whispered in my ear. He said, "Wow, James, this is really amazing how you're impacting all of these people to go out and impact more people. Did you ever think about that?" And I was like, wow. Like, I never thought of it, number one. But then number two, and they started talking again, it hit me. I said, holy cow, I have freaking Hannibal Lecter on my stage. Not Anthony Hopkins. Like, I said, this is Hannibal Lecter, the guy who eats people.
The guy that does the fava beans with the lips. I mean, that just intimidates the crap out of me. Yeah.
But then I realized, holy cow, this is Sir Anthony Hopkins, legendary Academy Award actor on my stage, and I'm just a still Milltown kid from Menneson, Pennsylvania, and then how did he get here? Well, it's because of speaking.
Yeah.
If I wasn't speaking and met him and then got him to come to my event, he wouldn't have been speaking and helping all these folks in the audience. And so that's why I say speaking is the greatest thing you could ever add to any business.
Yeah. And it may require coming out of your comfort zone a little bit, but
Sure.
if you learn, like always, I've learned through being an entrepreneur that strategy is everything. Intentions, visualizations, all of those things, and passion, they're all great, wonderful. You got to have them, but you have to have strategy as well, and you have to have the kind of thing that James actually talks about when you come to the boot camp. It's pretty much a no-nonsense thing. Obviously, there's fun. You've had Jason Alexander and Sean Austin and a bunch of really fun people up on your stage too. And I know I looked at some of the speakers that you have coming up, and you've got a great lineup there. So it is fun. You have fun when you're up there on stage, and people laugh. But the long days are really just content filled, and you walk away with not just the rah of being in a room full of people that want to do the same thing that you do, but you walk away with an idea of just how much you have to dedicate yourself to it, but how possible it is.
Oh, yeah. I always said that, when I started teaching this back in 2001, people don't realize how long I've been teaching this. I said, you know what, if I'm going to do this and dedicate a part of my life to it, I'm going to do what we really need to know, and I'm going to teach the business side of speaking. Who are the people that book? How do you get to them? Which topics do they book? What times a year do they book? How do you get a bunch of clients? Why try to book a talk? Why don't you get 30 clients that bring you in every year?
Yeah.
So really the business side of speaking. This is not a rah-rah.
Not just doing one-offs.
Right.
That was a wake-up call for me. That it's great when you get a one-off and it makes you feel good. There's you feel like somebody likes me. I'm going to go speak for them. They like me. They like me. And then you get applause and you're like, that was great. You may sell some stuff, but then you're not necessarily coming back the following year. And what you teach that opened up a whole new idea for me when I was new to speak. It was like, oh, you can actually come back and make this thing a regular gig kind of deal. So
well, and not only that, but how do you get at least two? Here, let me just give this little bonus for anyone listening. I always say, look, I could teach anybody how to get 2 referrals from every single talk you ever do. And people are like, get out of here. I say, I'll bet you $100 right now. Will you bet me $100? Okay. I said, and I'll say, no. Let's bet $1,000 right now that I could teach you and anybody how to guarantee to get 2 referrals from every talk you do. And they're like, I said, well, I don't know if I want to do this. I said, no, come on, bet me $1,000, and they never do it, right? Because they know I'm doing. But here it is. I'll give it to everybody listening. Just all you do is it's a provision in your contract that when they book you, they have to give you 2 referrals. So when you make it a part of your contract, they can't violate the contract, so they have to do it. And so
that's awesome.
Stuff like that. So even a free talk.
Unless, of course, they give you like the tasty freeze on the corner, which is just not going to happen. But no, I love that. Like these little juicy things. Now that's what you get when you hang out. We were going to just go till 7:30 my time, and it's 41 minutes past the hour. So see, when you hang out a little bit later,
I like it.
Juicy freebies.
Well, keep going. If you got some more questions, let's keep rocking a little bit.
We have a few, but they were blended into some of the answers that you already had. biggest mistakes was one of them that I was going to ask you. You already kind of went right into that. So you know what? I think we had some fun, and we covered a lot in our time here. So, and I want to thank you, James, for jumping on board, because I know I contacted you, at the last minute, and we got this on. We did the struggles through Google Plus, and we worked it all out because you're not a techie, and Google Plus is not it's not my savvy deal. Like, I'll do one-on-one, but I don't do the setup and all that. So, so I appreciate you hanging in there with me. And if they want to find you, I know, what's the best website for them to go to if they want to get info on you?
Yeah, so, well, first, everybody could always, meet with me on Facebook and friend me and all that. But for the speaker stuff, just go to www.bigmoneyspeakerbootcamp.com or just bigmoneyspeaker.com. Either way.
Excellent. Good. And I highly recommend it, because I've been there and I was really wowed by the amount of stuff. It seems like it's going on forever, but when you walk out of there, you don't walk out with just a bunch of mush in your head. You're not just jazzed up on nothing. You definitely have some stuff that you can take and step out there. And I know, like I said, it's like stepping in front of the camera. It's a foreign land for most people. But when you know what you're doing and you have a strategy and you know where you are and you have a map to get to where you want to go, that's really the value of being around and learning from somebody like James. So I highly recommend it. And thanks, Pittsburgh boy. It was fun hanging out. Now I think I'm feeling a little guilty, because I think that the Steelers are playing tonight, and I'm online with you.
I got that was a nice compliment, and I'm online with you.
I'm just teasing.
I'd really rather be somewhere else.
I'm just giving you a hard time.
I got my gold on, black and gold.
I know, you at least got that. I should have worn my Pittsburgh T-shirt. I should have done something. I should have represented somehow.
I know. Take the girl out of Pittsburgh and look what happens.
I know. I get all like country and everything. I'm wearing fringe and cowboy boots. Like, what, go back to Pittsburgh like this, and they give you looks like, what is that?
Yeah.
Thank you, James. I so appreciate it, and we'll get some folks out there, and hopefully, if I'm out there at that time, I'm going to come by and stop in at your boot camp. And things are constantly playing out. Every day here is different, so I'm getting tossed left and right. I leave for New Orleans and tomorrow morning, actually. So to speak, to reinforce what you're saying. And you know how I got that gig?
I do not.
From speaking.
And it spun to another one.
Yeah.
I want to just throw this out. One last thing that I always like to over-deliver. Is that okay? Do we have a minute?
Yeah.
You mentioned about social media and internet, and how that's like a new thing, but yet you still lose that interaction of being live, right? Well, here's what I've always found funny. Okay, when these internet marketing people promote the Internet Marketing Conference, and they are there speaking, and I've spoken at a lot of them, and I'm always baffled. And I say this from the stage in a joking manner, and people are like, "Wow, I never thought of it." I said, "Folks, everybody tells you that the internet, like hitting buttons, is the way you make your business grow better than anything. Then why are we here at an internet conference where all these internet marketers are speaking?" They are indirectly telling you that speaking is the greatest thing you could do for your business.
That's awesome. That's a great note to end on. I love that. Thank you, James. This has been so fun. Thank you so much, and thank you to Cindy for working through us, getting all together here, and I so appreciate it. So I hope you have an awesome night. Go root our team on. And
you
I hope
too, and thank you.
What's that?
I said you too, and thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. We should do it again in a couple of months or so when we can plan it better and learn how to do Google Plus better.
I know, right? I know, we should. We absolutely should. No, actually, what I want to do is get you out with the horses within the next 6 months or so, and
do it.
Give that a try. Yeah.
I'll do it. I'm game. I'm in.
You're not scared?
No, not at all. Not at all. I'll buy some spurs or whatever I need.
Woo!
Well, I don't know anything about what I'm talking about, so you're going to have to help me.
I will. Don't worry. Like, you help me with the speaking and booking, repeating gigs and all that stuff. I'll help you with the horse stuff.
Deal. Deal.
All right, everybody. Thanks so much. It was great to hang out with all of you. And James, again, thank you so much. And have a wonderful night. Bye,
Oh, you
everybody.
too. Thanks, Sandra. Bye, everybody.